devastated America's fourth largest metropolitan area, unleashing a year's worth of rain in under a week.
Oh my God!
Hurricanes are the most powerful and deadly storms on Earth. An average one releases the equivalent energy of 10,000 nuclear bombs. And if that isn't enough to blow your mind, they can cause some pretty strange, even freakish events. Hurricanes derive their strength from extremely low barometric pressure. At the center of these storms, there is the eye wall, a band of extreme weather next to the calm eye. The sudden pressure change from one to the other is literally eye-popping for fish.
Hey guys, I want to show you some nasty stuff from Hurricane Irma. Check out that fish. That fish. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 dead fish. Wow, look at that.
You could say it's a hurricane, eye for an eye. When Hurricane Irma swept through the Caribbean, she demonstrated her awesome power by sucking the Bahama beaches dry. In the center of the hurricane, where there is extreme low pressure, air is sucked up, which pulls trillions of gallons of seawater with it, changing the shape of the ocean. In a few days' time, the sea balances out and the water returns. The big casualty to the sucked dry syndrome is sea life. As Irma approaches Florida, manatees are left stranded. These half-ton creatures are known as sea cows, as they are slow-moving, love to graze on water grasses and algae, and have a tendency to be eaten by other creatures. This means the poor docile manatees are now a threatened species. So, all the more important, these caring rescuers are keeping this one alive. The British Isles, thanks to its relatively northerly position, rarely sees hurricanes. But in 2017, Ophelia passed close by. Not only were coastlines battered by high winds and big waves, Ophelia also brought spooky, apocalyptic red skies. As the hurricane tracked north up the Atlantic, it dragged dust from the Sahara. As this dust enters the high atmosphere, it causes blue light to scatter, leaving longer wavelength red light to shine through, giving the UK a brief glimpse of life on Mars. July 2017, Coverack, Cornwall. The pretty harbour village on the southwest tip of England was basking in the summer's sunshine. But then, local resident Peter Wood noticed a dramatic change in conditions.
There was very heavy rain, and then we realised that there was a bit of a waterfall started coming down our garden steps. I thought, well, this is pretty exceptional. The only other time I can remember rain like that, I was in the Peruvian jungle.
Within 40 minutes, a flash flood was threatening to cut off Coverack.
We are now in incredibly flooded roads. Oh, slow down, slow down. We are driving in a river.
They're stopping.
So we are now stuck.
This is the road down into Coverack, and I'm told that the road had been closed by the fire service.
Down by the quayside, Marshal Dagger was frantically trying to prevent the floodwaters entering his old mill gift shop.
He was there trying to brush water away from the front of the shop. Eventually, other people joined in, so then Marshall started getting some boards to try and divert the water into the sea.
But soon, Marshall realised he was fighting a losing battle.
As the rain got heavier, I then got concerned that we might have a problem. The water rose to about 5 foot high. It was going over the sea wall. It looked like Niagara Falls.
To make matters even worse, the group was suddenly assaulted by lethal, giant hailstones.
They were the biggest hailstones I've seen in my life. They were as big as ping pong balls, and they hurt.
Cut and bruised, they were forced to abandon Marshall's shop to the flood. Further up the village, an elderly couple were trapped in their home that was rapidly filling with water. The raging torrent was surrounding their property. Their only hope of rescue was by the HM Coast Guard.
Well, that particular day it was very sunny. When we got the call and said, you've got a job with people stranded upstairs attic in Coverack due to flooding. So, flooding in Coverack, it's sunny.
But when winch operator Ian Copley and winchman Niall Hansen arrived, the scene was desperate, as the elderly couple frantically signalled for help.
We saw the little hands coming out the window, and with winch down into position, I could see through a very tight little space that there was a couple inside the house. It was a matter of, am I going to be able to get them out? To do that, I was going to have to remove the dormer window.
But removing this skylight proved fiendishly difficult, as Niall was buffeted by gusting 30-knot winds.
Just a couple of feet either side that they're moving at the top is me moving up and down 4 feet next to a window that I'm trying to move off. So we kind of fought with that a little while. I realised that I wasn't going to be able to get this window out.
To get these people out quick is our concern. Water is very destructive, and you don't know if this water's got into the foundations of the building, and if it has, it can quite quickly crumble the walls.
It just turns what's an almost normal situation into something that would be just catastrophic.
With every second now critical, the crew targeted a window on the opposite side. While it promised easier access, a sudden jolt could send everyone crashing through a glass conservatory below.
I've got to convince a mature couple to come through that front window with me. As quickly as possible, we were able to winch clear of the building, over the river, and then into an adjoining field, and I knew the fire crews were waiting.
Thankfully, no one lost their life in the Coverack floods. The storm only lasted an hour and a half, but there was extensive damage to infrastructure and around 50 properties, including Marshall's old mill gift shop.
It was really only the following morning when we got into the shop. It hit me. It was utter devastation. It was a sad sight.
The tight-knit Coverack community leapt into action. In just a fortnight, they rallied round to help Marshall strip out and restore his shop to its former glory.
The response of the village was magnificent. The community spirit was fantastic. It made us all realise what we had in Coverack.